And mark well me words, mateys, dead men tell no tales.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Minecraft Disney World. Today we're going to be taking a look at a fan favorite ride. It's in multiple parks. It is of course Pirates of the Caribbean. You might know it from the movies, but it actually was an attraction. First, it's interesting case of cross promotion that Michael Eisner was very big on. And we're going to dive in. We're going to take a look at the Walt Disney World version. But as we've done in the past, we're going to talk a little bit about the Disneyland version too, since that's what it sort of was born. So Pirates of the Caribbean was originally a ride that opened Disneyland. It was actually the last attraction that Walt Disney himself participated in building. It opened about 3 months after he died, so we never actually got to see it when it was open. And that was in the spring of 1967. It was like many of the rides that time sort of undergoing an evolution. It was originally going to be this walk-through wax museum that showed all these different pirate scenarios, similar to the way that the Haunted Mansion was going to be. A walk-through, a haunted house, but of course, as we mentioned last week, when it's a small world, this sort of omni-mover system of ride vehicles in which you have a constant stream of vehicles coming in and out that just made it faster to get people through the ride, ended up replacing the walkthrough concept in both Pirates of the Caribbean and in the Haunted Mansion. So it was this wax museum that eventually became a ride that used audio animatronic figures, and you would get into a boat and you would ride through it, and you would see these pirates feeling this Caribbean island town. That's funny about the ride is it didn't open on opening day in the Magic Kingdom in Walt Disney World. In fact, there was no plans to put Pirate to the Crib in Disney World whatsoever. The main thing that Disney had was the Disney World being in Central Florida, so it's close to the real Caribbean, that they weren't being too much of a demand for a ride about the Caribbean, so they left it out, and they were originally gonna put, I believe it was a Frontierland minecart ride in that space, but the success of Pirates of the Caribbean in Disneyland led to a high demand for it in Disney World. And so they eventually caved and they sort of built the version there. And then they eventually built a version in Tokyo Disneyland in 1983. And then there's a version in Disneyland Paris in 1992 that opened, so there are 4 versions floating around now. They are very similar, although their outsides are a little different. The one in Disneyland in New Orleans Square, but the one in Disney World, it's in Adventureland, and it's made to be more of a Spanish era fort. I should say it's actually guarded by the watchtower called Torre del Sol, and it's in this fort called Castillo del Moro, and that's inspired by an actual fort called Castillo del San Felipe del Moro in San Juan. So like many rides at Disney, it sort of has this basis in reality. Even though they're sort of fantastic rides, they drew inspiration from real-life pirates to make it feel extremely authentic. And another fun fact about the Disney version is that, as you might know, Disney World's Magic Kingdom is actually on the 2nd floor. The ground level of the theme park is actually underground, and it acts as the utilities. And it's the system in which cast members use to get around and act and MC magic on the server. They have their own little utility system. And the reason that's considered the 1st floor is because it is on ground level, because Florida has an extremely shallow waterbed, so they can't dig low under the ground level. So the 1st floor is the underground level for employees. And then they built on top of all that the actual theme park. Now, Pirates of the Caribbean, one of the few rides that actually goes to the 1st floor, because when you ride it, there's a dip in the boat that brings it down to the ground level, and you ride through it in here, and then, or you get off and you take a ramp back to the 1st floor, so to speaker, the 2nd floor. I guess you should say, well, where the theme park is, and there are fun little hidden things in this ride. For instance, if you're on the queue, one of the things that I think everyone notices when they are walking by is there's a dungeon with 2 people sitting there playing chess. The 2 skeletons are playing chess, and while it seemingly random, the Dark Dave is specially designed as a set of pieces to go in certain places that any move in chess will result in a stalemate. And so the story there is no matter what they did, they would be in a stalemate, and that's why they spent the rest of their lives playing chess till they became skeletons. It just shows you the depth level of dedication that Disney has told details that beyond having this detail of these two skeletons playing chess in a dungeon, it's actually a limited set of chess that moves that you wouldn't notice just by walking. But they put it in anyway for those people who do find that sort of stuff, and it just sort of adds another layer to this experience. And of course, the ride is probably most famous now for being the original inspiration for the Pirates of the Caribbean film series with Johnny Depp and Orlando Bloom. They tried to do that again with Haunted Mansion, but didn't really work. And I think you're gonna see it happen again because Guillermo del Toro is working on a Haunted Mansion sort of reboot, and it'd be interesting to see if, like the Pirates of the Caribbean, if they go back and redo the ride in some places to match the movies because of Pirates of the Caribbean. After the films were such a big success, they went back and they put Johnny Depp, his character as well as a couple other characters from the film into the ride. So it's sort of like this strange situation where the attraction inspired the movie, and then the movie inspired the attraction. In any case, this has been a short look at Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't even have to recommend it. It's one of those rides that are considered a must-do if you ever go to Disney World, so you'll probably ride it. If you ever go out, there is a lot of fun. It's one of those rides that have so much detail packed into the scenery that you could ride it 10 times and you'll still find new things to focus on and new effects to catch that you didn't catch before. And in case, I hope you have a great weekend. Whatever you do, whatever you're doing, please make the most of it. And I hope to see you guys all for the next week. We'll grab another attraction from the MC Magic server that is a complete recreation of Disney World, and we're going to talk a little bit about the history on Minecraft Disney World. Bye, guys.